fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.
Welcome, episode 1 of Fuel for My Fire, a Bristol Quarter podcast. Metal Quarter podcast, I got it wrong. First time. See?
Here we go.
This is up
We're
for discussion.
We're in it, baby. We're in it, baby.
Anyway, I'm Tom. I'm here with Theo. We've got Danny and Sound. We're in the Gryphon. Of course, we're in the Gryphon. We're going to record here every time.
Still here.
Bit
still
of a
gay.
rebrand.
Still mentally ill. Still covered in tattoos. Ready to go.
Have you got any more tattoos? Before we go into our intro.
Yeah. Pretty much. Tattoo talk. Unfortunately, everyone, not managed to have a new tattoo in a year, because when you work in the industry, as I do, you end up with a tattooist curse, which is you're busy all the fucking time tattooing other people and not getting tattoos yourself.
That's a bit sucky.
That sucks, yeah.
Eventually you're going to tattoo me and we're going to have fun chatting that as well. So,
here we go.
Yeah. But anyway, we've rebranded Fuel for My Fire now. It's a very clever idea. There's lots of meaning behind it.
Gotta love Onslaught.
And it's very local. So Onslaught, please don't sue us, but we think it's very cool. You're the best metal band to come out of Bristol.
Yeah.
And it's one of your songs, just gonna say. But Theo, what you think of the overall name?
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy that we've got like that kind of Bristol connect. Like, we're here to talk all things like Bristol heavy music, from, you know, thrash, death, hardcore, like punk,
Everything in between.
or everything in between. You know, talk about local bands, talk about local gigs, talk about bigger gigs that come through Bristol, bit of news and stuff. But like, yeah,
Hopefully start interviewing some of you.
Hey, yeah. Like, we've got some plans in the works. You know, like get some people on. So yeah,
Exactly. Our whole thing is local scene, and hopefully our listeners appreciate it. And
well, hopefully we're going to become your one-stop shop for everything Bristol heavy music in all ways. And we're up here recording upstairs in the Gryphon. Yeah, in the gig room in the Gryphon. Gotta love
this
it.
Bar.
Yeah.
All that rock on the wall, everything. It's just such a great place to be.
And a part of the furniture for like 13 years at this point, so you know.
I mean, so am I. It's first time when I first came to Bristol, I didn't know it existed. I was down in Hatch at the time. I was like, well, this is cool. It's rocky. It's human skin door.
Did you know up the road there was somewhere even better?
I know, right?
No, wait. No shade to the Hatchet, by the way. The Hatchet sound. Get on with you guys. Don't worry about it. Yeah. We don't want to start into pub beef.
However, if you want us to come down, we can record it. I mean,
that'd be free drinks. No, it's gonna be great.
It comes with condition 1 free beer, right?
Yeah. At least one.
So Theo, tell me, what have you been listening to this week, other than what we're going to review? What's been on your playlist?
What's been on my playlist? Been a bit all over the shop recently, to be honest. I have a very, obviously, big passionate love for, you know, heavy music, but very eclectic. It's just been Bristol Pride. So, had a big day out. It's been great. Been a lot of
those bands and stuff for that as well. It was a big day out, right?
Yeah. I went to the Bitch Please stuff. It's very good. So for me, I think recently it's been a lot of like booty bass and a lot of queer techno, and unfortunately it's not really linking in much to what we're going to talk about today. But that's been my a lot of Charlie XCX, because you know that new album of hers is a bit of a queer icon thing. So here we go. We can talk about. Hey, look, we'll get Charlie on the podcast soon. It's going to be great.
That could be an interesting one.
Friend of the show, Charlie XCX. Tell your friends.
She played Bristol?
I don't think so. She's too big now. I think she might. I mean, she might play SWX maybe, but I couldn't see her.
That's great venue.
Great venue, love it.
We're going to have a fucked out who rented.
Best sound in Bristol for the bigger venues. But yeah, I honestly think. I mean, this one thing we're probably going to be on the podcast over time is that Bristol, weirdly for how big it is, still lacks like a big kind of stadium venue, doesn't it?
It's getting there.
Yeah.
We're going to have the venue, the stadium up in
the mountain. They kind of talked about that, but it's still like, I mean, for God's sake, that's been, you know, there's been talk of that for so long, and the reality is, like, you know, at the end of the day, everyone goes and plays Cardiff, because Cardiff has got the massive...
this will take away from it.
Yeah, it will. I mean, it's going to turn the kind of Cardiff-Bristol thing into a bit of a war, really, about...
I think it's somewhere in 15,000, 20,000 capacity,
Yeah, you know, well, at the end of the day, look, Beyonce played Cardiff, she didn't play Bristol. You know.
Well, she can't.
Yeah, exactly.
Physically can't.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I actually think Charlie's. Why are we?
I don't know. Let's come on. Let's come back on track. Come on.
Let's get back on track, right? Hey, look, Charlie XEX, I love you. This isn't the podcast to talk about you.
That's a different podcast.
We'll talk about. I talk about hyperpop on my hyperpop podcast. Don't worry about it.
We had a bit of fun downstairs, though. We got some proper old school belters going on that we were kind of going,
Yeah,
you like this? So these guys
got
know.
on a Soulfly, got on a Sepultura, got on a few things, didn't we?
Bit of a Rob Zombie and White Zombie Paul Man 5000 and what we're basically saying is come to the Gryphon and request whatever you want. If it's very busy in here, it might take a few hours.
Unless it's been officially banned by John the landlord,
which is fair. There's not many banned.
I mean, if you want to listen to House of the Rising Sun but covered by Five Finger Death Punch, you're not going to get that. But what have we got then? On the kind of more the kind of newsy front, is there some stuff?
The newsy front too. I've got some things to hit you with.
Yeah, go on, hit me.
Right, how do you
with
feel
your
about
rhythms?
How do you feel about Kerry King?
I really like Kerry King in a certain way. Obviously, he's a big part of my childhood. The kind of images of him playing his flying V with literal chains coming off it, chained to people, dressed as priests, screaming on stage. He's one of the reasons why I love fucking heavy metal. Yeah, the beard. He put his fucking as a tattooist. His Paul Booth tattoos, very inspirational. People who are into tattoos will know who Paul Booth is. But obviously, can be a little bit on the annoying side sometimes.
I would have agreed with you before. The more and more I've looked up about him, read stuff, interviews over the years and stuff.
He's a very cool guy. It's just that I think sometimes he tries to push things like with them Slayer obviously breaking up and retiring. Him just kind of going we shouldn't be doing that, we should keep going, and the rest of the band being look mate, we're just really fucking old. And
but look what's happened. They've now reformed. They're doing two dates next year.
I know, but it's all a bit up in the air.
I have to agree, Kerry, in this one. They were rocking out. There was no reason.
It was great. I literally went to the
final
Slayer
show.
Farewell. I went to Cardiff, supported by Lamb of God and all that, and it was a really amazing. It was
incredible.
Show. Great show. Really enjoyed it. I don't know. I just I guess I get into the bag where I worry about older bands sticking around until they're not wanted anymore, which I have a few of those that I personally think should be knocking it on the head. And I worry that kind of Kerry pushing Slayer to kind of stay together and keep playing.
I don't think he did, because he announced the solo stuff.
Yeah,
and then a few weeks afterwards, Slayer was getting back together.
Okay, that's fair.
And that was on Tom Herrera. That was not on Kerry. Kerry was very much on the approach of. We shouldn't quit. We're young enough. We can keep going. Why we stop?
So is this what the news is? Is that officially Slayer are kind of getting back together to play shows?
It's a double barrel. So his solo stuff.
Yeah.
His first album is From Hell I Rise, which I think is kind of fitting actually.
Is that come out yet?
It is.
Oh, it's out.
Has been very well received.
Yeah.
Very well received.
Because he played Download this year.
He's done 2 or 3 festivals.
Done a few festivals. Yeah, he played Download this year.
He did. I think he did Hellfest as well.
Yeah.
And he's been received very well. Okay. But I mean, his line-up is amazing as well.
He's got. It is
at
the end of the day, it's Kerry King. You're gonna want to go play for Kerry King. It'd be awesome.
I listened to it and I wanted to go to it, kind of going, you know what? This might be Slayer. It might not be Slayer.
Yeah.
It's Kerry King. I know what he's going to write. Everyone, if you know Slayer, you know what Kerry King's going to write.
Of course,
he's done it for 40 years.
Yeah.
That's what his style.
Yeah.
But when I looked at the band that he had formed, so Phil Dimmel, ex-Machine Head, ex-Violence. You had Mark, I can't remember his last name, from Death Angels, the vocalist. Mm-hmm. Very similar to Tom Herrera, if you want to go there. It's fine. Paul Bostaph on drums, former Slayer drummer.
Yeah.
And the bass player, I'm really sorry, I can't remember. If you play Bristol, I'll apologise my entirety. But the line-out he got, it's going to be Slayer sounding.
Of course it is, yeah.
But
has it got a bit more to it?
It does.
Okay, that's cool.
I've listened to it.
I've got to give it a go. I will obviously listen to it. I
highly recommend it. And I've read a lot of interviews. I do.
Stuff. Kerry King's a hugely, obviously, influential person.
I love his look. I love his sound.
I heard another. He gave another story recently where, for those of you who don't know, the Beastie Boys from back in the day, the hip hop act.
Where Kerry King had a bit of a spot appearance?
Well, he did, because they both, Raining Blood and Beastie Boys' License to Ill were produced by Rubens, or whatever he's called, the really famous Rick Rubens, really famous producer. And basically, the Beastie Boys were looking for, he needed like a riff for No Sleep Till Brooklyn, and basically went down the corridor and got Kerry King, was like, would you want to do this? And Kerry King said yes. But Kerry King recently came out and said, I should have definitely asked for royalties instead of just taking like $500.
A flat rate,
because like I would have been doing a lot better in my life because that song got so big. It's like, yeah. It's
he did it with Michael Jackson as well, didn't he?
He's done a few, like, you know, I think, and once again, obviously, you get in with somebody like Rick Rubens, you're going to get a lot of samples, kind of like, you know what I mean, he's going to...
Which is why I think, like people have this view of him, but I actually think he's quite a cool, down-to-earth dude.
No, just to be clear, like, I don't think he's a bad guy or anything. I think just sometimes it comes across as a bit, like, for me, especially around the Slayer retiring thing, like, I kind of, basically, I think for me personally, I really respected that from Slayer. I really personally respected it. I was like...
And I was so happy to see the last shows.
Calling it a day, exactly, and now it feels like the Rolling Stones, where they're like every other year they're announcing this is our last tour.
I have to admit that really annoys me something rotten. It's like, this is our final tour ever. I'm going to pay money to go see you.
And now we're back together again.
5 years, I think they lasted.
And I get it. In rock and metal, obviously, we're definitely a bit bad for that, where we just can't kind of let go of the legacy bands. And
Motley Crue, AC/DC, Metallica, Iron Maiden.
Look, you know, once again, all bands that I love in different ways and different albums that I listen to. But it's like, you know, like we all know it deep down is that we can't let go of like the old stuff.
But do a final tour and stick to it.
Exactly, you know what I mean. Like,
if you want to put your hat up and kind of go, we've done our time.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. Like, where I guess I've been a little bit like, because it just to me feels a little bit like maybe Kerry King really lent on the rest of the band to kind of maybe look at getting back together again. I'm not sure, because he was the one that was so adamantly vocal about like
he didn't want to stop.
Basically, so it kind of feels like he's the one who's like kind of gone like, right, we're not stopping.
I read a cool thing about it though. So when he was doing his solo thing, he got signed to, it's Phoenix Rising, I think they're called. Yeah. It's a new record label. It's offset from Nuclear Blast. Yeah. I think there's lots of issues on Nuclear Blast anyway, but whoever's involved with it have basically come out as a new label. They've signed a few bands. They've done quite well, but Kerry King's probably one of their bigger ones.
Yeah.
I mean, he kind of went to them and went, I want to go solo. Yeah. They're like, absolutely, yes.
Because
what can we do to make
you just listed off all the musicians that are in his solo project. Like he's like when Slash decided he was going to do a solo project, like that's the kind of name that is going to
people are going to be interested.
People are going to be interested. They're going to want to be in the band.
So we mentioned one thing there about the Iron Maiden thing. It's funny you mentioned it. Did you see it on the news with the Bruce Dickinson on his solo thing?
No.
He's met Paul Dano, which was obviously one of the Maiden singers, who's now in a wheelchair and everything else. And it's the first time they've ever met.
Is it?
First time they've ever met.
I thought they would have met before.
I mean, why would you?
I don't know.
Here's the band you are in, here's the band I've taken to the moon.
Yeah. Like, I don't know,
I think it's cool though. They were very...
Of course, I'm sure it is. Yeah. Sure it is.
I think it was quite a good thing.
That's a nice thing. I've got a bit of interesting one that I saw literally today. This is going to obviously date this podcast of where we are, but for those of you who aren't aware, somebody took a shot at the potential next president of the United States, Donald Trump.
And then missed.
Jack Black has announced that he is stopping all Tenacious D touring and potentially breaking up the band because, what's he called? Kyle Gass? I always forget what the other guy's name. Yeah. They were literally on stage in America. It was his birthday. They brought a cake out on stage and he blew the candles out and made a wish and said, hopefully next time the person doesn't miss. And Jack Black has literally pretty much said that he's liquidating Tenacious D until further notice.
Seriously?
Yep. That literally was on his Instagram today. I saw it on his Instagram and then I had to go look it up. That's
a joke and savagely wrong, but at least he stands by his morals.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, don't want to get too heavily political. I personally think that I will say this. I personally think that it's very interesting that a lot of the conservative lot who go on and on about like, you know, I can't say anything more, everything's woke, blah blah blah. Whereas when like this happens, suddenly they're the ones that are cancelling people and, you know, really genuinely using their power to kind of really genuinely silence people and put pressure onto people to not say anything or do anything. So that's my personal take on it. I think it's gutting. Obviously a lot of us love Tenacious D, you know, Jack Black, and
they're an amazing duo.
Great. You know, they've been part of, you know, we have to give their flowers, you know, for how much that, you know, even though you could call them like a joke band, have kept heavy metal in the mainstream for a very long time. So,
and they've got such cool things like Dave Grohl's The Devil.
All of that. All of that.
They just have so much fun. So much fun.
So sad to see that. Literally was on his Instagram today. It popped up. I was like, "What's going on?" I went on Google. I typed in obviously Tenacious D, and then obviously all these news articles were the first things that came up. So
That's
it literally
really
happened
sad.
like the other night, basically. Like
That's really sad to hear.
Yeah, it's sad to hear as well. Obviously, take a bit of time to process it, see what comes out of it. But it just, I don't know. If it feels like I said,
if they come back again, then we're going to be all over it.
I just find there's a bit of irony in there that I think can't be lost because these things do tend to happen, like I just said.
Yeah.
And also, I personally think it's a little bit too reactionary. I think it's just a bit like, why are you doing that? Like, you don't need to fucking literally say that you're going to dismantle Tenacious D just because of that.
Someone missed a shot.
It's way too far. That's my personal view.
We have other news that is also a bit sad. I'll come on to happy news afterwards. There's lots of happy news.
No, we'll do some sad stuff, then we'll do some happy stuff.
So some sad news. We're ever finding Crank TV. That's now been taken off the air.
Yeah. It's gone, hasn't it? I just hear about
I only
that.
found that out recently.
Yeah. They're
going to a digital streamer.
Yeah.
That's going to lose the whole point. Like, the whole point is watch videos.
It is sad, but we also kind of have to be honest about the day and age that we live in, about where kids are looking at finding music.
But Crank TV was pre-YouTube.
I know.
Like,
but
that's how you got your rock fix. And then Skulls came out, and that was amazing. Skulls was way better. But Crank used to do like proper.
We should literally be obviously originally it was MTV's Headbangers Ball. Obviously there's a load of MTV stuff going on as well where they've been bought out and like they're going to get rid of all of MTV's backlog basically. So we're going to lose all of this really old school MTV stuff. I've
got to come back to that point. Danny, I think we need a single come back to that point because I got a point on MTV. So I have to come back to this point. It's a good point. But Crank TV was pre-YouTube.
It was a huge, of course.
There was lots of times where they went down the route of, okay, we're going to show you metal right now, and then we'll put on the cheesy pop and.
But look, like I'm 35. Like obviously I'm a new metal kid. Like I grew up.
Crank got you into metal, right?
Yeah. Loads of like. It's a big part of my life, and it's really sad. But the reality is, the numbers are in. The place that actually most kids under the age of 25 are finding new music is TikTok now. That's it.
Which is a bit crazy. You can check us out on TikTok as well if you want to.
Yeah.
We will be there
on TikTok
absolutely.
too. We will be there.
Go from a fire, Bristol Metal Quarter. Just check us out.
We're not going to be good at TikTok, but we will be on TikTok.
No, you'll find us there. I didn't say we'd be good at it. Come on.
Maybe a couple of choreographed dances or something, but or one of those things where I pull up my shirt and then suddenly I'm wearing like the sexiest, skimpiest thing going. I might do one of those because I do that in my spare time anyway. So
I'm going to revert back to our MTV thing. Headbangers Ball. Do you remember back in the day?
Who could forget?
They're bringing back an equivalent to MTV.
Are they?
They're bringing it back. It's called Trashing Madness. Metal Trashing Madness. It's every Saturday from 10 p.m. till 12, which is a good time.
Alright.
On the MTV stations.
Well, I guess
it is basically Headbangers Ball.
Yeah.
Just an MTV.
But I guess I find it weird. It's like, what is that now? Is that like their YouTube channel? Is that actually on like an actual television? Is that?
I hope. Well, it's on television. It's also on streaming. It's also live.
Yeah. I guess it's just, it feels a bit weird because it feels a bit bizarre in the sense of like, we just don't consume media like that anymore. Like, and once again, everyone listening, I'm not here going like, oh, everything should just, I'm not saying it's good, but I'm just saying like, we don't sit around our television waiting for Headbangers Ball to come on so we can see all the fucking cool videos anymore. Like,
I mean, I would. I used to love it as a kid. I used to love doing it.
Yeah, but it's great that they're doing something like that to like hopefully put more like new bands and new music videos forward.
And on at a reasonable time as well. Headbangers Ball was on like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning.
I remember that.
So you had to stay up just to watch it.
Stay up and watch it. Yeah.
Whereas now it's actually at a reasonable time. Where
desperate to see the new Slipknot video, like
I still think it's going to do well in this day and age. I think it'll do well.
I hope it does, and I hope it does bring in like a younger audience somehow. Like however they manage to market it or do it, it would be really cool. If anything that introduces like, especially like some of the younger lot to like new music and stuff,
or even older music at this stage.
Yeah.
A lot of the younger ones, say younger.
Yeah, no.
They don't know Testament, for instance.
Yeah. I mean,
How do you not?
I mean, it'd be interesting. It will. So it's funny that you bring that point up. Like, it'd be interesting to see what their kind of like brand. I hate to use terms like this. Brand strategy is going to be like. Are they actually going to play some older metal on there, or is it just going to be like all
from what I've seen from the first
like,
episode, they've done Everton.
Really?
Everton from the very early stuff
good.
right into Spare Pox and in between.
All right, cool.
I was like, so if you listen to the whole show, there's probably at least 4 songs that say you like.
Yeah.
And you can go check them out
It's
afterwards.
something you can put on, and then hopefully you find something that you like. Yeah.
I think that's
No, I think it's a good thing. I honestly do. I do think it's a good thing.
I was so sad when Headbangers Ball stopped.
I mean, yeah.
It was
it
so
kind
much
of,
fun.
I mean, but now we're going to start showing our age, aren't we? Because it's like we're talking about eras of like how we used to find music and how we used to listen to music.
And a lot of the kids listening to us now will be like,
what
are you talking about?
Why
what are
can't
cassettes?
you just go on your phone and you find the band that you want to listen to, and it's like, yeah, then you used to work
on that point then, tell me the first rock metal band you ever got into. How did you find them? 2 questions there. Double barrel.
Woof, that's actually a really tough one. I've got to be honest, everyone listening, my penchant from a very early age for narcotics and alcohol has left my memory not the best. So I remember my cousin like playing me like heavier music. I can't remember exactly what it was, and I kind of got into it. And then fair shout to my mum, a very interesting woman, but she basically went out and bought me like a load of these like Punk-O-Rama CDs. But they say Punk-O-Rama, but like they weren't just punk. That they used to have things like Fear Factory on them and stuff like that as well. It was really bizarre.
I think I remember that CD, but I think it was branded.
Yeah, no, but there was loads. No, but this is the whole point. They used to release like one, I think a year, maybe. I want to say, I don't honestly.
It's like
totally
a 26 song CD.
Yeah. So it was like a compilation CD, and she bought me like obviously like 2 of the older ones and then like the newest one, and she was like, oh cool, you want to listen to heavier stuff, here's this. And it was just like really, I remember there was like a monster pissing on the wall, there's another one with this, but
that's obviously gonna sound.
I mean that was the album art, and it was that's kind of my first real memory of really sitting down and listening to like, and once again, like I said, it had I couldn't name like all the bands on there. Like it had everything from like kind of like Bad Brains to like I said, like Fear Factory,
Big Fish and all
Typo
that
but there'd be like Typo Negative into Real Big Fish into, you know what I mean? Like it was so. Fair shout to those Punk-O-Rama guys.
Exist anymore?
No. But fair shout to those Punk-O-Rama guys, because even like I said, it was just like. They obviously they read the room and they were like, well, we're not just going to do the punk stuff, we're just going to throw everything on there basically.
And
so that's what I remember.
Like?
Yeah. And then from there, obviously, I got new metal really blew up, like the really late 90s, early 2000s, and that's when I kind of
I mean, we're similar age, right? So
35.
Yeah, I'm 37, so
there you go.
We're close enough.
Yeah.
I was basically very similar. Like I was listening to random compilation CDs. But slightly before that, my brother-in-law, big shout out to you, Ken. If you're listening to this, you started this.
Shout out to you, mate. You
started this.
Yeah.
So he bought me in cassette the Black Album and Dio's Hunger for Heaven. And that was me kind of hooked. I was like, this is cool.
It's an interesting combination as well, if you think about it. Like, yeah.
I prefer the Dio one actually over.
Going back to like new stuff, I swear down, I just saw something like Metallica's Black Album.
Funnily, you bring that up.
Right, I just saw about this. That it's like been in the UK like
for 750 weeks on the Billboard.
Jesus Christ!
Since its release, it's been on for 750 weeks.
That's absolutely mental.
There's only 4 other albums that have ever done that ever.
And I'm going to say this is going to be a hot take for me, guys.
Who do you think they are?
I still think Metallica should retire. I just think they should retire. Just please retire. That's what I think. That's what I think. It's what I've stood by it for a few years now. I just think they should.
I would agree with you have St. Hanger, but they've done well since
No. I just think. I think they should call it a day. I think they should call it. Go down the Gucci shop and spend money there or wherever it is.
They do.
You guys do that. I know.
They can.
I've seen those photos.
Let's revert back. So 750 weeks on the Billboard. Now, part of that is due to the fact they re-released it.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Doing Taylor Swift before Taylor Swift was doing Taylor Swift.
You get die-hard fans kind of going, I own all the copies of this. I'm going to buy it again because...
I'll be honest, listeners, like, I don't quite understand that. Like, I love music myself, and I get it, like, but also, like, how many copies of one album do you need? Like, I get there being, like, a cool release with, like, maybe, like,
or
2 or 3 extra
like,
songs or whatever. Yeah, like an older but remastered. But like,
I think I'd listen to it on Spotify now and go, there's the remastered version, great.
It's why I don't understand the Swifties with the way that she's doing all her stuff now, where she releases seemingly like endless versions of the same album and everyone's still buying it, and I'm just like...
I mean, I do respect what she's done though. She's taken on her label and
basically
middle finger to
that's different. I get that bit. That bit's fine, but it's just more like... funny if we're going to go back to Charlie XCX again. She actually kept Charlie XCX at the number 1 spot album-wise for Brat in the UK because she re-released a UK special of the Dead Poets Society to make sure that her album stayed number 1. And she's done that not just to Charlie XCX, she did it to Dia Lupa in America, and she's basically, they've gone around and made sure that she stays at number 1 the whole time. It's just special edition. Anyway, it's mad. It's mad. It's just so many editions of this one album, which, and this is going to get the real hate to all the Swifties out there, Dead Poets Society, it's alright. It's not the best Taylor Swift.
He went there.
It's not the best Taylor Swift album. I like a bit of T-Swizzy. It's not the best Taylor Swift album. I hate to break it to you all. Anyway,
back to where we are.
Before they turn up with the pitchforks and the torches and fucking...
Turn Gryphon down. That would be bad news.
They go and put me in a wicker man that looks like Taylor Swift and burn me alive. That's carry on.
That'd be kind of fun though. I don't know.
Fucking hell.
So yeah,
You maniacs! You maniacs! Oh, sorry, carry on.
4 other albums have ever achieved this.
Okay, go on.
Give me what do you think they are?
I don't know. It's going to be really weird.
They are obscure.
It's going to be obscure and really bizarre. And you're going to be like, oh, why?
This is the first metal one.
Okay, this is the most metal one that's done it. So Metallica's done it with the most metal one. Go on, give me the others.
Pink Floyd.
Okay, that kind of makes sense. I can see that. Yeah.
Bob Marley.
That makes sense as well. To be fair.
And the last one blew my mind.
Yeah.
Journey's Greatest Hits. Journey.
Of course. I carry on my wayward. Do you know what that is? Do you know what that is, mate? That is
bullshit.
That is no. It's every Supernatural fan managing to get fucking album. Everyone's just like,
this is Supernatural.
It's the thing. God, don't make me do Supernatural lore for you.
I was going to go there quickly
basically, every time there's going to be a finale for Supernatural, they do a recap, but it has Journey's "Carry On My Wayward Son" to it, right? And it became a whole thing with the show.
And I guess that's why that show was huge.
Hey, look, 15 seasons and whatever. You know.
Side note to that, I've decided to start watching it now.
It's great. It's great. I love Supernatural.
We're halfway through season 1. It's the same thing every episode.
No, it gets better. No.
Everyone says that.
No. It gets. Oh my god, I'm going to do hot take number 2 in episode 1. It gets better than Buffy the Vampire Slayer as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, you're going to find some fans there.
I think it gets better than Buffy the Vampire Slayer. I think Supernatural gets better. The metal lore, the way it works.
Ooh, listeners, pipe in on that one. Hit us on socials.
Hey look, you know.
Does it get better than Buffy?
Look, I am also gay. Like, Sam and Dina hot as shit. As much as, Sarah Michelle Gellar is an extremely attractive woman. But Sam and Dina, they're really fit, and I kind of go...
I don't know where to go with that, really.
Quickly, on to the next. So, what's the next news? What's the next
I've only got one more big news thing.
Right, here we go, hit me.
How do you feel about Black Sabbath?
I love Black Sabbath, of course.
Ooh, Danny likes Black Sabbath.
Let's go. Black Sabbath.
So, there's been quite a bit of their history that they just deleted. You couldn't buy CDs, you couldn't buy records of it.
What?
Which is Tony Martin era.
Yeah.
And
they got rid of it.
You basically couldn't buy it.
Oh, yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
So it existed, but they kind of went, we kind of didn't do that. And they've been in the whole thing of going to remaster our eras.
Right.
And they've finally done the Tony Martin one, which means all the stuff is now available. Everyone listen to it.
That's cool. It's good that they did that. It's nice that they've done that then. A little similar to what you said about the Iron Maiden story earlier on. It's like actually like not shying away from like your past as a band, you know what I mean? Like not being...
It happened. Lots and lots of people.
And some people really like that era.
Exactly.
You know, you can't take that away from them. Like they really enjoy the music and like... I mean, in a weird way, I guess the only thing it's going to do is kind of make it a bit less special in the sense of like you can't be like a metal hipster about it and go, well, actually, I own the original. Actually, guys, I own the original vinyl.
Tony Martin era, do you have those anymore?
Exactly.
No.
Because now we can just be like, it's on Spotify, mate. Shut up.
I'm really glad they did it. Tony Iommi's taught behind us.
Yeah. Good.
The band at the time were very different. They were. It was the style they were in. They were doing.
Black Sabbath have been through many like different iterations. They're a very versatile band. People, I think sometimes we forget that sometimes because obviously we focus on the Aussie stuff. I totally get that. That's
they had like 5 other singers.
You know, the fucking Dio,
Tony Martin, Dio,
yeah, like and I personally I like a lot of the Dio stuff. I'm a big fan of that kind of part of it.
Every time they had a new singer, it was kind of like
it was a different thing, but they weren't afraid to do that. That's what I liked about it is they weren't afraid to do that. They got a new singer in, and they weren't afraid to like change kind of how the band sounded. You know what I mean? Yeah. Almost like to
work with the vocalist.
Yeah, to work with the vocalist instead of going like, no, we've got to keep sounding like this.
And I think it's really cool now they're coming back to it, like, and kind of going, we'll remaster these and kind of get them out there again.
I think that's great. Good for them. Good for them. I mean, they've got to do. I mean, for God's sake, you know, Ozzy needs life support. Let's be real.
He wasn't the only singer either.
I know, but you know, it's probably Sharon's like Sharon.
That's pretty good, actually. Yeah.
It's because I'm slightly hoarse from.
Did you ever watch the Osbournes?
Pride. Yes, I did back in the day. Yeah,
I used to like it.
Yeah, I mean, but I did
like Ozzy, so you know.
Yeah, you know, it's pretty funny back in the day. You know, reality. Out of all the reality TV shows, especially early reality TV shows that got created, it was just the one that when they announced that it was going to come on television, I was like,
really?
What? Yeah, exactly. Like, what? It's like.
What I loved about it though was Ozzy was still mostly off his head. He doesn't remember doing a lot.
Yeah.
The kids
I've heard those stories. Yeah, he was still. But I think
it felt real.
At that point, a lot of it was the painkiller stuff he was on, wasn't it? Because he was trying to deal with the fact that his legs were going.
Did you ever read his autobiography?
I mean, well, is it?
It was a dictated autobiography.
Is it his autobiography though, or is it?
He dictated it to his. I don't know what you call him. His personal assistant.
That's fair.
And that guy
recorded Terry Pratchett at the end. Okay, that's fair.
Some of these stories are insane.
I mean,
like the book is amazing.
Yeah. I haven't had a chance to read it yet.
There's a stage where he's off his face on acid or whatever he was off.
But then this is the thing. I don't understand how he remembers any of that.
He doesn't because other people record it.
It's other people recalling what happened. Right. Okay, that makes sense.
So he I don't know why I got told off for this, and then someone fills in the blank.
Right. That sounds okay. That's kind of sold me. I need to have a look.
And the blank in this particular one was his PA, who's been a lifelong friend. I love him for Ozzy now, but anyway. And Ozzy went down to the back of his garden with a shotgun and blew all these chickens apart. And he had no idea he was doing it.
He's doing a Zelda Ocarina of Time.
He had no idea where he was, what he was doing. And just his PA came up to him and went, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck?
Why do you smash all my pots? Why are you doing this to me? Stop stealing my gems! I've done nothing to you, Ozzy!
What? And he's like, well, what did they do? Yeah. I mean, what do you mean, what did they do? He literally went to the bottom of his garden and shot his chickens just because they were chickens or aliens or whatever was going to
whatever the fuck he thought that they were at that point with the amount of drugs he was on. I mean, to be fair, I don't know whether the rumour is true. I mean, the rumour was always going around about Lemmy as well, was like that they both donated their bodies to medical science. I don't know how true that is, but that was always a rumour that's
Lemmy donated his body ashes definitely to some of his friends.
Oh, right, yeah. I mean, it might be Ozzy then. I know for sure for Ozzy, like, that there was a whole thing about like that he said that he's going to donate his body to medical science when he dies. And if that's true, I mean, he fucking should. It'd be so good.
He's been riddled with so much things that should have killed him.
Like 20 years ago. I mean, this is like, you know, this. It honestly, like, I honestly wanted they cut Ozzy Osbourne open and just like literally find the cure for cancer. No, they just find the cure for cancer. They'd be like, oh, this is what we've needed the entire time.
Like when they do an autopsy on an alien or something.
Yeah. That's exactly.
What is this?
What's this?
Can we learn from this technology? Yeah. Right, a little bit of local news.
Yeah, here we go.
My first thing I've seen is Dying Fetus. Huge announcement.
Dying Fetus. You got fucking Chelsea Grin. Like, it's just
Despised Icon and Fitzroy.
Despised Icon. You know, a lot of people say, you know, Despised Icon are like the the godfathers of deathcore.
Really?
They were genuinely doing that sound before a lot of, you know, even before Suicide Silence and all that kind of stuff. Like, a lot of people say that. I saw them a few years ago. They're really good. Canadians, you know, 2 singers, absolutely heavy. You know, you've got Chelsea Grin there as well as like main support, and then Dying Fetus are going to come on. And honestly, I can't think of a heavier gig. When you talk about heavy, just like it's just going to be crunch riffs and bounce, and then deathcore, and then fucking Dying Fetus are going to come on, and it's just like I just don't
I
understand.
think that's a great way to describe it
work.
because
Yeah.
Chelsea Green I'm a huge fan of. I appreciate their heaviness.
Yeah, exactly.
I appreciate
It's
it.
going to be
But I think when
finger
Diabetes
guns
come out, I
and
think
fucking
it's going to be
fight
new level.
rushing and but Despised Icon are really good as well. Like I really rate them a lot.
You seen any before live?
Yeah, like a Despised Icon I've seen live for the first time a couple of years ago at Damnation Festival. Really good. Chelsea Grin I've actually ended up seeing a few times. I think 3 times.
They do a lot of festivals, don't they?
They do a lot of festivals. That's where I've ended up kind of seeing them. Do like them a lot. And then Dying Fetus I've seen a couple of times. Really great. I mean,
I'm excited to go to that gig for Dying Fetus alone.
I mean, honestly, they just got one of the best little intros. What is it? Yeah, sure, I'm pregnant and I love drugs. Fuck the baby, let it die. It's just like, come on, guys, let's fucking go. You just start throwing hands and fucking pushing people in. Yes, fuck the baby, let it die.
For our listeners that may not have got
I gesticulate.
the
I'm Italian. I'm allowed to gesticulate.
what do you think how would you describe Dying Fetus' style?
I mean, it's death. It's death. I mean, I understand why they're taking the deathcore bands with them because they're not death metal straight up. They've always been that band that actually has these far
Something
more kind
else
of
too.
bouncier, crunchy riffs to them. Even though I guess
Still
you
brutal,
class them
still
brutal. I mean, unbelievably brutal. But I understand why, weirdly enough, even though they would never class them as a deathcore band, the deathcore bands make sense as a support because really, like. You also kind of wouldn't like put Dying Fetus in that classic kind of death metal like genre. Really, like they were always way more kind of crunchy and bouncy and nasty. And
if they had the support, they wouldn't have fit.
What was that album they released? Fuck, is it Wrong One to Fuck With? Was that them?
I don't know.
I swear down it was them. Yeah, it's Dying Fetus. Like that album is one of their newer ones, and like Wrong One to Fuck With is just.
Wrong One to Fuck With. What a name!
Just absolutely savage from start to finish.
When are they playing? They're playing on the 2nd of December this year in Bristol.
Marble Factory, isn't it?
Yep.
Which is basically just a massive warehouse. So
which will suit them very well. I
It
think
will. I'll be honest.
well.
I like Marble Factory. I've been to a few gigs there. Their sound occasionally can be a bit in a cave. Sometimes
they do a lot of raves and shit there. So
I mean, I've gone and seen like things from hip hop artists to alternative stuff to metal there. So they
I've seen new gigs there. I've never been really disappointed. Like,
Only I've never been disappointed. Let me be very clear. Yeah, it's just occasionally a bit of the vocal sound could be a little bit in a cavey. Sometimes you kind of lose a bit of that.
Yeah,
we get a bit spoiled by SWX because somehow those fuckers managed to just produce the most crisp. Well, they just produced the most crisp fucking sound you've ever heard in a live music venue.
Totally agree.
Like,
I saw Fit for an Autopsy there.
I mean, I've seen
Bloodstock,
Autopsy, Thy Art Is Murder.
Same gig.
Knock Loose, like, yeah, exactly. I've seen so many. And then also like a load of indie bands and other things I've seen there, and it's just always so tight.
The sound there is incredible.
It's great.
Yeah.
Big shout out to SWX. By the way, whoever's running SWX's sound, if you want to ever come and like have an interview with us, we'll happily talk to you for
we'll
like
give you
an
a beer
hour.
and
we'll give you a beer and happily talk to you for an hour about how you get the sound so fucking good.
And then we'll put you in touch with the fellow No too, so you can
So
tell him how to do it.
Yeah, that's one of the big ones. Obviously this is the time of year where a lot of the big gigs get announced.
Yeah. What else have you been seen that's been announced?
Well, Soulfly. I only found out.
That wasn't
about
just announced.
I know, but I only found out about it today, so I'm saying that I just found out about it now.
That's Marble Factory again, in fact.
Marble Factory again. Obviously,
October, September.
The big Cannibal Corpse gig with Municipal Waste down at the Beacon.
Yeah.
You know, that's the crazy one.
That's the one.
So many of us metalheads in Bristol cannot understand how the Bristol Beacon's got on that gig.
Clearly,
cannot
the
understand.
promoters have no idea what they.
I don't know. They don't do. Just
for Cannibal Corpse, like
for the record,
the name,
for anyone
right?
who's listening to this, the Bristol Beacon is like where people do plays or like
go.
go and listen. Exactly right. It's a posh person venue. We don't understand what's going on. It's Cannibal Corpse. It's Municipal Waste. So other really good bands joining them on it, and it's in December. I think I want to say. And none of us can understand how they've got on this show. It's
have you ever
really
been? Have you been there
before?
before?
Well, funny enough, I ended up in there for Pride for some of the stuff I was in, but only in one of the smaller rooms. But yeah, it's really nice in there. It's obviously brand new. It's opened up as the Beacon now.
But it's set up as like a theatre, isn't it?
But yeah, that's what I mean. It's a theatre. It's a theatre. Like it's. So
is it going to be seated seats?
I don't. No. So from what I've heard, apparently the seats go into the ground or something.
That's cool.
For I mean that is cool. But like,
I do want to see what to do.
Of course, all of us basically, listener, all of us are so intrigued by the fact that this, like, basically a theatre is
very posh theatre.
Very posh theatre is having Cannibal Corpse and Municipal Waste play there, and we can't quite understand or get over like what's going on.
It's just across the road from Gryphon.
Exactly, it's just down the road. It's just literally down the road. Like, you can come up, have a bunch of beers at the corner, and then go down to the Beacon and find out wherever the fuck's it, and then pay like, you know, £8.50 for whatever.
Yeah, in other local news.
Yeah.
Did you ever hear of a band called Heart for a Coward?
Yes.
Have you?
Yes.
Oh,
I love Heart for a Coward. I mean, they were one of the big djent bands back in the day.
Yeah.
They also somehow got their first album, they put it free on every copy of Metal Hammer, which is one of the reasons why they're so popular and famous.
They also had a very ropey start to their start.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean, yeah. And then they released that, it might not even be their first album, it might be their second one technically, but I can't remember what it was called, like Killing Fields, I think, or something. It's way back in the day, but we're talking over a decade ago now. But like, they had it on Metal Hammer, like literally just had their CD, their whole album.
That's a good way to promote it.
I mean, it was amazing, and something all of us knew about Heart of a Coward, and they had this very, obviously they're not quite as djenty these days, but...
They are though.
They are, but they've kind of moved a bit away from how, like, that early stuff was like super what you'd call djent stuff.
They were, I would say, one of the originators of it.
In one of them, especially in the UK, for sure.
Yes.
They were one of the first big bands that were like in the UK that were like that djent sound with them, you know.
It's a funny one to describe, the whole djent kind of.
It just came and went really quickly. It felt to me like it came and went really quickly. There was like a year where like every band was a djent band, and then suddenly just kind of stopped, and everyone was like,
I know what djent really was.
No, exactly.
You had an idea.
We all want to sound kind of like Meshuggah, but not sound like Meshuggah.
I would say Meshuggah and Silosis put together.
Yeah.
It's probably
yeah.
with a bit of
what's the news about them?
Anyway, news about them is randomly stumbled across that they're actually playing Bristol in July 29th, which is coming up.
I haven't seen them. I literally haven't seen that band in 13 years. I'd happily go and see them again.
I have never seen them live, and I'd love to see them live. So I think there's another one we're going to discuss gigs we're going to later.
Yeah, we're going to discuss gigs in a bit, but yeah.
They're the support act, and that's how I came across them.
Really? Wait, who are they supporting?
A band called Humanity's Last Breath.
I have not heard of them.
Nor had I. So I decided to listen to them just to see. They're the headliners, right?
Yeah.
They are fun.
Are they?
They are like.
Are you saying we got to put a bit of Humanity's Last Breath?
I think you need to put these.
Yeah.
Listen, I think
what we're talking, genty stuff as well, or?
I would say angelic, looming apocalypse.
Angelic looming fucking out. So we're talking about
a lot going on there.
The seven trumpet cries of Gabriel, and we're gonna can go to.
Have you heard of Orbiculture?
Yes. A
bit like slightly like them, but with a bit more angelic-y doom in the background.
Alright, I'm about it. I'm ready for that. I especially with Heart of a Coward as main support, I'll have to give these guys a listen. Listeners, I'll go back to you when I've listened to a bit more of what they're called again. My Last Breath.
Humanity's Last
Breath.
They're Swedish.
Swedish.
I think everyone here should check them out.
Okay.
Heart for a Coward are amazing.
I will. I mean, if Heart for a Coward is supporting them, there's a good gig on. And
then there's a band called Cruelty Circuit.
Cruelty Circuit? No, that's not cool. That's mad. Whoa, you're joking. Cruelty Circuit are supporting them.
Absolutely.
That's insane. That's massive news. I did not know. Cool. I fucking know all of them. I put them on back in the day. The stickers are over there.
No way.
On the wall. Look there, Cruelty Circuit with the red, with the little like fetus thing.
I know, fucking red.
Yeah. They're fucking awesome. I put them on like over like a decade ago here. That's huge news. I have no idea the Cruelty Circuit. Sorry.
Listeners, there you go. There's some excitement.
I've got to get hold of Bill now. I've got to get. Literally, I'm going to have to message Bill, the fucking guitarist.
Well, they are the openers for Heart for a Coward and.
That's massive. Oh, we've got to get a hold of Bill. Right, we're getting hold of Bill.
Can we get all the tickets?
We're doing this. Yeah, well, we'll see what you think. Put us on the Christmas. We'll put you on the podcast. No, that's massive. That's so good for them. I'm so happy, and I'm so happy they're back.
That's such a great
reaction. They took a break for years. They took a break. They've only just started releasing new stuff recently.
So describe them to our listeners. What are they?
I mean, originally, like they were like a bit kind of. It's hard. Like they're really good, but like kind of System of a Downy. Kind of a bit proggy, but like heavy as shit. I mean, obviously, I used to know them back in the day when they had the original lead singer and stuff. And
is it the same singer?
No. He's got long gone.
Same style?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, really good.
Well, if you're saying it's
that's
heavy
massive.
System,
we're gonna have to come back to this because I'm gonna literally have to get hold of Bill. And
I think we need to get tickets.
We're going to get tickets. We're going to that show.
And we're nearing the end of our first segment, but there's one more. Well, let's see how far we get through.
Yeah.
One thing I want to go through is me and you saw a gig last Friday.
We did, yes.
We saw Crossfire,
Wargrave, Dublin,
and we
Wargrave.
missed Braincake because we were
did
chatting
miss
shit
Braincake,
downstairs.
and that was here in the Gryphon. That was one of the smaller gigs up here. It was really good. I thought Wargrave were awesome.
They were like a new version of Judas Priest.
Yeah. Really amazing vocals. Really good.
They were on point. They were
really
together. Dual guitars were rocking.
And once again, I've got to give it up to John and all the sound techs that work up here.
Amazing.
Like, he's really worked on the sound up here. Like, even though this is a small, like 50 to 60 cap upstairs in a pub venue, he's worked really hard to have like a really clean sound. So even like if you're like a smaller band, like you actually end up with this really good sound here.
Those guys were amazing. They had so much fun playing.
Yeah.
I mean, you were headbanging away.
Yeah. It was great. I had a chat with them a bit afterwards as well. Obviously, they're from London. Unfortunately, a lot of complaints about the London scene at the moment. I'm not going to get into that too much, but there's a lot of complaints about the London scene. A lot of pay to play. A lot of local London bands are really struggling to kind of get out of the blocks there. So they always end up touring.
Is that just oversaturation, or?
It's not even oversaturation. It's just that all the venues won't put you on unless you pay them. Basically, that's what I was getting told. Like, you know, especially if you're a smaller band trying to get out of things, you know, it's just like you just can't do it. You know.
I looked up Wargrave afterwards, and they got very few followers, very few listeners.
Yeah, but they're
worth listening.
Yeah, they're worth listening to. I really enjoyed them, but you know,
they're like a new age Water and Judas Priest with more double bass.
His vocals were insane, like, and the rest of the band were really tight. They knew what they were doing. We kind of came up at first. They were playing. They started out a little bit slow, and we were a bit like, "Where's this going?" And then suddenly they hit that witch song and a bunch of, and it was just like, "Oh shit!" Like
bananas.
It's got a bit of Ghost in it. It's got a bit of this in it. Like, you know, kind of like, you know, like theatrical but not over theatrical.
And then the tiny guitar player stop off, and we're like, "Fucking it, stacked."
Bam. Yeah, it was great. And then of course Crossfire, Dublin's finest thrash.
I was disappointed.
I was a little bit. I actually ended up chatting to the singer, who's also one of the guitarists. We actually had a very honest conversation about the vocals. He obviously is a very good vocalist, but he was really obviously holding himself back, and I actually ended up talking to him about that, and he said he was just struggling a lot with confidence, and they actually haven't played live in a while, so he's trying to get back into it.
He was nervous
and then he's like facing his vocals down, which as any vocalist will know, you don't do that. You need to face, you know, chin up slightly is going to get you. Sorry, I am a vocalist, by the way, so you know this is
your
area of expertise. You know, any of it, you have to have your chin slightly elevated because it opens up your whole vocal cords.
I thought for me, I couldn't hear guitars for the first two songs.
Yes, there was that, and then like the vocal. I mean, the vocals aside, though, they were so tight, and that's why I was.
They were tight, but I couldn't hear them.
They were good. I think what we're looking at from what he was telling me in the story, he was telling me about obviously they kind of like obviously didn't play throughout COVID and all that kind of stuff, and then it's actually taken them a bit of a long time to kind of get back started again.
I hope they come back proper, because
I think what we're looking at is a band who's trying to get back into the swing of things. I think the foundation's there, really good thrash. The songs
technically they're amazing.
Exactly, right? And I think what you're looking at is a band that's just trying to get back into the groove again. Get back into the groove, get the confidence back, get back out there, you know, all that shit.
It's weird how they lose that. It is like it was a shame.
It's easy. You fall off the horse and like, you know, suddenly you know, it's hard when you're staring down the barrel of like, you know, 30, 40, even 50 people. Like, and even though that sound, I'm sure to some listeners it sounds like nothing, but when you're actually having to look down the barrel and stare at like 20, 30 people, right next to you because it's a little venue where there's no stage, like, it can be very like it's a big thing, especially as someone who's played a lot of venues like
embraced that.
He just went for it. He didn't give a shit. He just went for it. He was just hitting his high notes and fucking going mad. None of them
all of them were just jamming.
Yeah, they were just jamming and having a good time. But once again, what you're looking at is a band who's obviously played a lot recently and is really in their flow, and a band who's maybe trying to find their way back into.
I hope they do find their way back.
I think they should, like 100%. I hope they keep working.
Excellent.
So good. There's a really good thrash band there, and
they click
it's only going to take a little bit more.
They click so well together.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them here again.
Yeah.
So we're still on the whole music thing. It's a big part of our podcast. We're going to talk about music. We're going to give you insights into everything. Myself and Theo are into very different music, so it's always good. But
I think we're into a lot of we're into similar music, but it's like like obviously we have different views on like the same music sometimes, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I think we'll bounce off each other quite
well.
But
we both like a lot of different kinds of metal, like, you know.
Essentially, in episode 0, if it's metal, I've got
pretty much the
listen
same as well.
So.
But then I think also we come at metal from different directions. Like I said, I kind of came at it definitely more through the new metal thing, and then I got also like massively into hardcore punk, which was like...
Was that a very early on thing for you?
Fairly early on, yeah. Weirdly enough, like some I kind of got into mostly
early
through
punk?
like early like hardcore stuff for sure. Because funny enough, is a lot through like kind of hip hop stuff, and I don't know why. Like it kind of got blended a bit together, and then things like Suicidal Tendencies and stuff like that, and you know, like it was definitely kind of. You know,
that was starting in a journey.
Yeah. But anyway, like, you know, but we both have like maybe certain genres of metal that we really like kind of hold dear and stuff. But you know, we both listen to a lot of stuff. Like,
and one of the things that I love about this podcast is we're going to find new music. We're going to go to gigs like we just did. We just discussed it.
Really excited about that.
We got Dave from Black City. He's a music
Black
mecca.
City Records. Shout out Black City Records.
Come check him out. Come have a cup of tea. Come have a beer.
Yeah.
Talk about whatever music you want to. Obviously metal, obviously. And Dave will give you something you've never heard, or something you love, or something you release, or he's just
special releases, like a lot of stuff that you can't maybe always find. Like if you definitely you want those vinyls, you want those CDs, you want like actual like physical media for like some of this stuff.
So part of this podcast, listeners, is like you'll come on a journey with us.
Yeah.
So the album and band we're going to review currently,
which Dave has given us. Yeah.
It was a recommendation from him.
Yeah.
I personally never heard him.
Yeah.
Dale, have you?
No,
we're talking about the band
but
Wraith.
we're going to do this every episode, aren't we?
Are?
So every episode, Dave's gonna recommend us an album, a band, and we're going to listen to it and we're going to review it. It can be new stuff, it can be old stuff, it can be whatever.
It might be stuff we don't like. It might be stuff we really like.
Stuff we do like. Yeah. Well, but we're going to go on this journey with you guys, and we're going to like
give you honest feedback.
Yeah, and push ourselves to like. What Dave's doing is giving us a really great opportunity to listen to maybe some bands that we hadn't listened to or would never listen to before.
So on this note, before we start into our current one, I'm going to say it. Last episode, we reviewed 200 stab wounds. 2,000 stab wounds for you.
2,000 stab wounds. For the listeners, what we're talking about is episode 0, which may or may not get released.
Talk to us about it if you wanted it.
Yeah. I mean, let us know. Like, if you really want it released, we'll release it. But yeah, it was a very good album, very heavy, extreme metal album. Really enjoyed it.
And one of the things that came out of it was we liked it so much, both of us gave it a good review.
Yeah.
Would we go back and listen to the previous album? We only had one.
Yeah.
I did. Did you?
Yeah. I didn't, unfortunately. I've been a bit busy being gay.
I mean, that's okay.
It's been a busy week for me, okay? But Pride's a busy week, okay? It's a lot of gay shit that I had to do. Unfortunately, no. I do. It is on the list. Like, I really do want to go back and listen to that album as well.
I gave it a listen, and if anyone ever listens to our episode 0, we had some feedback on how it sounded and everything else.
Oh.
If we reviewed the first album, it would have been a very different...
Would it have been? I'm intrigued.
It was straight up just death metal.
You know what then? Let's call it right now. At some point, then in a future episode, we have to review the first album. I'll actually listen to it, and then we'll have a proper conversation about it.
They're playing Bristol later in the year.
I mean, they are playing Bristol. We did mention that.
Live, so.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we're actually going to be seeing 200 stab wounds because they are playing Bristol soon.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, right, we've got to move on to the album we're reviewing. We're actually reviewing today.
Band called Wraith. Now I can't say that properly because I have a TH problem.
That's all right.
Can you say Wraith?
1 second. Let me get my posh voice.
Your posh
a bit better. Yeah. Let me lose the West Country twang a little bit. Wraith.
And I said Wraith.
Wraith. Also, for the listeners at home, I have a split tongue, so actually doing that kind of sound is actually a bit difficult for me.
You sound a bit like me. Ooh. Firstly, I'm going to drive this one. The band name, I love.
Yeah. I like the logo as well. I do like the logo. It's like this old school kind of almost Motorhead thing. It's got this big scythe with a chain. It's cool as shit.
And we haven't even got the logo yet. I was just saying about the name.
Oh, the name itself. Yeah, I mean, I love the name. I love the logo.
Jim Reaper, Grim Reaper, his cousin, whatever, you know. Mm-hmm. Wraith is a cool thing too. Yeah. I was looking it up, and there's loads of bands, unfortunately, that go under the name Wraith.
It's one of this. Let's be honest. Like Wraith is going to be a band name that's going to be out and about.
Yeah.
What matters is it doesn't matter whether your band shares a name. Let me be clear to listeners at home. Doesn't matter whether your band name shares a name with another band, as long as they're not obviously massively famous. What matters is which one of you guys comes out on top. Like, that's the most important thing, right? You know, what matters is if you end up being the band called Witchburner that came out on
before
top
Witchburner.
Yeah, exactly, and now on top of being that. So,
I agree. So you already touched on it, but let's go on to the album work.
Yeah.
So I looked at the album work, and it reminded me of being like 1980s trash.
I mean, it is old school as fuck.
It is,
and you've got.
It's so cool. There's a dude in an asylum, in an escape room, in a white jacket.
Got missiles that are gonna kill him.
And look who's riding the missiles.
There's skulls. Oh yeah.
Zoom in. Yeah.
Zoom in. There's like death and soldiers.
You've got the Grim Reaper trying
riding
all those missiles.
All into this poor guy's face.
And then at the background, behind him, there's a nuclear blast has gone off, but it's in the shape of a skull behind him.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're talking proper, painted on the side of a van.
Yeah.
Like, era.
Proper
album.
1980s
We're
trash
talking
album
full
cover.
on. Yeah.
It was amazing. The first thing I got from that album cover, I was like, this is going to be... I can see what I'm getting from this.
The album is called Fueled by Fear.
Yep.
Yeah.
What do you think? Have you ever heard this band before?
No. So I've never heard of Wraith. Obviously, I do like my thrash metal. I do. I actually really do. And obviously, we were talking a lot about Slayer earlier on in the episode. And obviously,
it's kind of fitting, really, isn't it?
Slayer is, very much like, the... Let's be honest.
One of the four.
One of the big...
You're going to say
four. Well, you even say, like, you talk about the big four, but out of all of the big four, Slayer are still probably the thrash band. Like, everyone else did other stuff. Everyone else did other stuff. Slayer just kept doing thrash. Apart from if you want to talk about South of Heaven, which I like that. But anyway.
Totally agree.
For me personally, here's my thoughts. So we just talked about how the album cover's super old school. I've got to be honest, the music felt a bit old school. For me,
I agree.
Personally.
I thought it was 1987 again,
Yeah,
even though I was 0 years old.
I felt like I was being shown a tape, in the sense of like, let me be very clear from the jump. Wraith are a very good band, right? They're good. They play their instruments well.
By the way,
is it their fourth album? Fair enough.
Album.
Okay. There is a couple of things I kind of got a bit lost with this album.
Go on, hit me with us. Where did you get lost?
One, vocals.
Yeah.
So I am a vocalist, so obviously I've got a bit of prejudice here about how vocals go.
What vocal style do you do?
I mean, I do a lot of different vocal styles now. I used to predominantly be in grindcore bands, so it was a lot of pig squealing and screaming and stuff. But I've done a lot of different things. But for me, I understand like they were trying to get like a bit of an effect on the vocals, but
it sounded like he was in a well.
Here's the right. Not quite in a well. So, like, obviously, I would say this, right? So, sometimes, obviously, with black metal and things like that, you end up with these vocals that just honestly sound like they got recorded in a Nokia.
Album, though.
I know. But sometimes, obviously, you end up with these kind of albums, and like it sounds like they've recorded the vocals on a Nokia like 3 rooms away.
I agree.
At the bottom of a well as well. With this, it was more like I felt like the band was on stage and the lead singer was backstage.
I agree totally with you.
Right, that's
until you get about 4 or 5 songs in.
Right, and then suddenly a few of them, they felt like the vocals got a bit mixed more into the front.
Turn down some of the reverb and make him actually be more a bit
right,
more
and it's fine. Like they're trying to do an effect here. There's like reverb, as you said, to try and give the vocals a bit of an effect. But the issue is that the vocals are so quiet sometimes that it literally feels like the guy's like stood backstage doing
the first 2 songs. My literal comment was, it sounds like he's singing in a well in a different room.
Yeah.
And eventually he comes out of that well, and you can hear that transition.
Eventually he does. You're absolutely right. My second thing, and I'm going to be brutally honest, like I said, I'm a big fan of thrash, and funny enough, I mentioned it earlier, like I used to be in a lot of grindcore bands, so I'm a massive grindcore fan, but even as a big fan, I'm very willing to admit that sometimes it can all sounding a little bit samey, right?
Yeah.
In the sense of like, one song merges into another song, merges into another song, merges into another song. I had a little bit of that on this album. It's really
agree.
Good thrash music, but
it's a blackened thrash, I would say.
Yes,
and it's only blackened because of the vocals.
There wasn't. It's not that every song has to be different, but it just there's how many songs?
It's like, a 45-minute long
45
album.
minutes. It's not like the longest album in the world.
It felt long.
12, 13 songs. And I've got to be honest, for me it was more by the end. It was around Heathen's Touch, Hell's Canyon and Vulture, which are all at the end of the album, that I really started like picking up on. It seemed like they were more happy to experiment, happy. So the song sounded quite why I say
there's
different.
only 2 songs that sound different. It's Ice Cold Bitch and Warlord.
Yeah, right.
The rest of them are a blackened trash.
Yes, yeah.
It gets quicker towards where you're saying.
Exactly. And so for me, maybe because I like a bit of pace in my music a lot of the time, that's why those were the songs that kind of perked my ears up. Once again, it's just, unfortunately, it's just that thing, and I'm going to use a term that's definitely a little bit West Country England, is it felt like a meat and potatoes thrash record. In the sense of like, it's not bad in any way, shape or form.
I know where you're going with this.
It was just kind of good.
I found the 45 minutes of it quite long to endure.
Mm-hmm.
And as I started listening to it more, I was like, there's good aspects the whole way through, but it drags. There's so much you can do with a trash band. It's open E, it's pan muted.
Yeah.
They did a few different unique things.
They did a few unique things, but the issue is the couple of times they kind of maybe slowed things down and stuff, I started just hearing, and I just mentioned it a little bit earlier on, I started hearing South of Heaven from Slayer.
Funny you mentioned that, because one of their songs...
Oh, here we go.
One of their songs, now, Shame and Suffering.
Yeah.
All I could hear...
Probably the one I'm thinking about as well.
Which is number 4?
Something like, exactly. Yeah, it slows down. It slows down suddenly, doesn't it? Yeah.
It was just a Slayer song. And I could not... Listeners, listen to it. Tell me what Slayer song it is. But it was... The riff was ripped completely.
And I'll be honest, I know exactly what song they're talking about. And that's pretty much the song that I was talking about, is that... It starts sounding, once again, I couldn't name the Slayer track it sounds like, because it just sounds like...
It just sounds like an old Slayer.
Well, especially South of Heaven, like when Slayer decided to try and slow down a little bit. And that's what we're now talking about.
I would love to find what that song name was, because as soon as I listened, it was like, Slayer.
But look, so that's my personal thoughts. Like, my personal thoughts to this, like, look, it's good, it's really solid thrash. If you want to listen to some fucking...
Black and thrash, listen.
Black and thrash, you want to listen to some fucking old school black and thrash, like,
it'll make you feel like you're in the 80s again.
You're going to have a good time with this album. I'll leave my kind of final rating till after you've given your full thoughts on what you thought about it.
So I had an interesting moment with it, because again, like you, I had no idea what this band was. Absolutely loved the name. It really clicked home with me. I thought the amount of imagery they could do.
You're like, right, here we go.
Album covers amazing.
Right, yeah.
It's like, this is going to be early trash. Listen to the intro, which is a complete instrumental.
Almost, until the very end when he kind of screams a couple of times.
But that leads into the next song very, very
well. Here we go. Yeah, and you already said that you kind of agree with me on the vocals here, where they just sound very muffled.
The first few songs, it sounded like they recorded live. Like, it literally sounded like...
Wait, no, it sounds like he's recorded live. Whoever's singing,
and everyone else is in the studio.
Everyone else is in the studio. That's the problem with it. Yeah,
it does get way better though.
It does. Like later on, like I really did enjoy. Like I named the tracks earlier on. Like the last 4 or 5 tracks of the album. It genuinely like picks up.
It
feels
agree.
much better mixed. The vocals feel much more in there, and like it's got much more pace. There's a lot more kind of differential stuff in the songs. You know what I mean? Where it doesn't just feel like the songs are kind of knocking together, because I definitely had a bit of that where I put the introduction on and then I felt like I kind of looked away, turned around, and it was already like the fifth track, and I was just there going, oh, I didn't notice that we're changing songs.
That's deliberate on the first 2 tracks, I agree.
I think so. The first 2 tracks go into each other, to be fair, yeah.
Because they stop and it drops on the bass line, and then the song starts with the same riff. So, I mean, that works really well. But for me, it was the start's amazing.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of just normal trash in the middle.
Yeah.
I say black and trash because the vocals are...
Yeah, they're much more like
raspy.
heavy, they're much more raspy. We're not talking
Think
about...
Carcass vocals with trash metal.
Exactly, yeah. So we're looking at much more extreme metal vocals on it, with this kind of very strange kind of reverb going on, which...
I wouldn't say extreme.
Not extreme.
It's raspy.
Raspy, yeah. But but in a way, that kind of reverb they've got going on with them is, I think, is an effect to make them sound more extreme. That makes sense?
It didn't work.
It doesn't work.
If that was a normal
At
black
the beginning
metal
of the album, anyway. The beginning of the album, it doesn't work. By the end of the album, it sounds like it's got...
Absolutely agree. At the start of the album, it sounds like he's trying too hard to do an old school black metal album.
Yeah, and that's why I said. And unfortunately, it's much... Look, I love some black metal. I'm sure there's going to be the black metal nerds out there who absolutely hate the fact that I, not
and
fully into
that.
Listen,
that's all good, right?
Look, as long as you guys are listening and hating, as long as you're listening, it's fine.
And
but let's be real, and it's part of, you know what I mean? It's part of the aesthetic. They always go like, the vocals have to sound like shit because that's part of the aesthetic of black metal. And it's just like, do they though? Like, do they though? Really?
If the rest of the album went on that way, I'd have turned it off.
Absolutely right. And luckily, it wasn't like the actual riffs themselves and stuff. Yes, at the beginning, maybe a little bit samey for me, kind of merged into each other.
That's trash, though, isn't it?
It's true,
it's
but
open-y, pan music.
But once again, like I said, we're talking. There's a reason why Slayer, it's not just because they were one of the first bands to do it. It's because
it works.
You can recognise a Slayer song from another Slayer song.
Yeah,
you can. Yeah. The same way you can recognise, the big heavy hitters in thrash. You can recognise, look at. I mean, people might get angry, but I personally count Municipal Waste as a thrash band to a certain
definitely
extent.
Trash.
Do you know what I mean? Like, you can recognise a Municipal Waste song from a Municipal Waste song. Like, it doesn't all feel like the entire album's exactly the same.
I agree.
From start to finish. And I think, unfortunately, maybe for me, this album, especially the first half, it suffers a little bit from almost like we said all the stuff about the album art and the cool name and all this kind of stuff, and it was all like super 80s.
And then it's
almost like you're trying to be too much that you kind of lost yourself a little bit in the shuffle.
And my notes, I've made notes just for our listeners.
I haven't made notes.
I've literally said after Shame and Suffering, which is basically Slayer song, it is just Slayer. It then goes into Ice Cold Bitch, which is got nothing to do with the rest of the album.
Exactly.
So I'm guessing the singer broke up with someone, or I don't know what's going on there, but
and suddenly decided to make a completely different song. Yeah,
their entire album's about war and getting trudging through life kind of thing, and then suddenly it's Ice Cold Bitch.
Asylum, Fueled by Fire, Horses and Hounds, Shame in Suffering, Code Red, Warlord, Merchant of Death, Heathen's Touch, Hell's Canyon, Vulture, Shattered Sorrow, Truth Decay, The Breaking Will, and then you just got this song called Ice Cold Bitch, kind of in there. And it does.
It's actually a fun song.
It's a very fun song. It sounds very different from You're Right.
But I can only feel like that's aimed at an ex. Yeah. She's a nice cold bitch.
You broke up with me and I hate
okay. Yeah. However, I do like that song. Yeah. I like it simply because it's different. Yeah. It's a bit gritty. It's a bit. Yeah. Do you ever remember a band called Toxic Holocaust?
Yes.
You ever hear them?
Yeah.
That song is dim to.
Yeah. It's much more, and it also it's a bit more fun. But I'll also say this, for me personally, like I said before, the kind of the final end, the Hell's Canyon, Vulture, Shattered Sorrow, Truth
so much
Decay,
better.
It kind of felt like the band were having a lot more fun with it.
I agree.
The vocals are kind of mixed in better.
It all works.
And the songs sound different from each other in that way. In the sense of
it sounds like what you can do with trash.
Yeah.
In a band where you can't do much with trash.
This band's got it, but I just think the front end of this album for me unfortunately just didn't work quite as well as.
I totally agree. Yeah. Totally agree. Started off really well. I love the intro into Fueled by Fire. Fueled by Fear?
Fueled by Fear. Fire. Yeah, which is the name of the album, by the way.
Yes.
Fueled by Fire is us.
After that, it just goes downhill, and then Ice Cold Pitch picks it up, and I don't know why, but it's a fun song. I liked it.
Yeah.
Warlord. Initially, I didn't like it. It's very black metal start, traditional black metal.
Yeah, I was. Unfortunately for me, that was still part of the album where it was still a little bit. It was getting a little bit too mixed in.
3 minutes in, a solo breaks. And then they start doing the trash.
There's some good. And once again, let me be very clear. I know it sounds like a bit of a diss, but when I say meat and potatoes thrash, I don't mean that in a demeaning way. I just mean these guys are good at what they do. Exactly, they're very good. The riffs are good. It's there. If you want to listen to thrash metal, listen to this album. You're gonna get what you need out of it.
And if you like thrash back in the day,
exactly. It's definitely if you like old school thrash. This is gonna bring back a lot of nostalgia.
Will sing to you. The lyrics sing to you. It is good.
The style of recording.
What's your final conclusions?
My final conclusion is, I'll be brutally honest. For me, it's a 5 out of 10. It's 5's the average. And it is for me. Unfortunately, overall, this is. it's not that it's bad. It's not, by the way, 5's not bad. Everyone chill out.
Yeah.
Right? 5 is average. That's what 0 to 10 means.
And we're going to review a lot of albums.
But then the other way that the second review I give of that is, would I see this band live? I'm going to be brutally honest. The answer is yes. I would watch Wraith live. I'd be interested to see what they sound like live. Because...
Yeah. Will the song guy kill him?
Exactly, right?
Which can happen with trash.
Exactly. Like, it might be... And I'd class it as, I want to watch them live, hesitant mosh.
I'll stand at the back and see what happens.
Hesitant mosh, because I don't know whether they're going to come out and sound like the album, or come out and sound like a fucking sick, tight thrash band that's not, like... And if they come out and sound like a fucking sick, tight thrash band, then actually a lot of this stuff, even the songs that I've maybe said were forgettable... I'd run around in a circle too and fucking throw elbows and get hit in the face. So for me, that's my two versions of how I review stuff is, one, what do I think of the album itself, and then two,
would you see them live?
Would I see them live and how I think about that. And I've got to be honest, it's 5, and yes, I'd see them live,
if there was
hesitant mosh, and I'm not sure where that would go.
Yeah.
That's personal.
I actually have a very similar conclusion. In my notes here, that people can hear crackling, I said basically it's tasty riffs, lovely leads, very, very good. Old school trash, with a hint of black metal with the vocals. Vocals was the black metal.
But then also a few songs, like you said, like Warlord, like they do kind of slow down more.
They do,
black,
which is kind of fun.
Which is great. Yeah, it mixes up a little.
There's only 2 or 3 songs I think that they actually change their style.
That's I
was like, as the album progresses, it gets better.
Yes,
it gets quicker.
100%.
Vocals are better.
Yeah.
And
the vocals sound mixed better. Just to be brutally honest, the vocals don't sound as well mixed at the beginning of the album as they do at the end of the album.
And driving to it is a problem.
Yeah.
If you put the latter half of the album on while you drive.
Yeah.
My car's got the adjustable thing when you accelerate, it gets better and something. I happened to do it at the end of this album. I was like, this is fucking awesome. Let's go. It'll start like, okay. The ending, it's the braking wheel. It's a very chuggy, slow.
It's a chuggy.
Riff.
I mean, it's a classic. It's a classic last song on the album song, in the sense of like,
brings
it's much longer. It's like. I don't know what it is. We could talk about this in greater detail at some point, but I don't know what it is about sometimes with metal music, and even sometimes with punk music, where bands feel the need to like have their last song be this like really long, like kind of
slow melodic
to something, and it's very bizarre.
I don't get it. Personally, I don't get it.
But but it's not just them. It's not just Wraith. It's like loads of bands like weirdly seem to do that, where the last song is like 8 minutes long, and that can be fine sometimes, but it just. Especially for some bands, it just feels a bit like, why are we doing some really long end song? I don't kind of understand.
If you were to do that live, you will kill
exactly.
the crowd.
But that's what I mean. It's half the time they never play that last song live. Like I've been to so many gigs, seen so many bands, and they've all got that really long ending song because they write out this whole thing, and then you never see it live. There's never going to be a song that you're going to play live. It just isn't. It's for the album.
So I give you a question then.
Yeah.
Would you see them live? Would you pay for them to see them live?
Yeah, I would. Like I said, I'd see them live. I'd definitely see them support. Like I said, hesitant mosh, because I don't know how they're going to come out. Are they going to come out and sound like, and not sound the way that they're produced on this album? Then if they don't, and they just come out and sound like a thrash band, then they're going to be awesome. Like I said, a lot of the songs that maybe I didn't enjoy in the album are going to sound fucking brilliant live.
And then the other question is, would you listen to their back catalogue?
Gotta be honest.
They've got 3 other albums.
I'm gonna be brutally honest about this.
I wouldn't.
Probably no.
Personally.
Like as we said, we talked about 200 Stout Wounds that's on our episode 0 earlier, and we were saying about how we would go back and listen to their first album to see what that was like.
Different.
For me personally, for this, what I worry about is it just end up being more of the same.
I agree with you totally.
And that's fine. And once again, let me be very clear, listeners. If you're into like old school thrash metal,
80s thrash metal,
then go and listen to these guys.
Touch.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna love this. You're gonna love the vibe.
The only way I describe the vocals in a blackened sense would be Carcass early days.
Maybe, yeah.
He's got a raspy voice.
Yeah. But I just feel like they're way too put behind. So it's like you can't even really like comment too heavily on his vocal stuff because it honestly feels like he's
so far away.
Yeah, it's too far away from the rest of the music. The riffs are over the top, the snares over the top, like everything's over the top of any of the vocals. So yeah, and later on in the album it gets better. Like it's not that bad, but
it felt like listening to a live gig.
But he once again, like he's backstage and the rest of the band's on stage. Yeah, so I think that's it really. Those are my views. Like I'd be interested to see where Wraith go. Like I said, still seeing them live. They're not a bad band by any stretch of the imagination. And if you really just enjoy like some straight up old school thrash music, I think you're gonna have a good time.
It'll remind you like you're in the 1980s.
Exactly. Yeah. Old school
with a touch of black.
Yeah.
Very old school black.
I think
that's a fair review.
That's it.
Very different review from our last one.
Yeah.
We were very excited about the last one.
We really hit it in a different way.
That's what Dave will bring.
This is what we're here to do. Look, we're going to give you our honest opinions about.
And please tell us what you think as well.
100%, please do.
If you think we're chatting shit about a certain band you love, tell us.
Exactly. Yeah.
Come at us.
Will we listen to you? Not 100%.
We might. Right.
Yeah.
Here. What are you drinking?
So we're drinking some Left-Handed Giant tonight, aren't we? That's the brewery in Bristol. So here at the Gryphon, every episode we're going to be drinking a local brewery. And drinking, beer from a local brewery. What's this one called? It's got a really weird.
Oh, this one's a fun one.
It's got like Left-Handed Giant, by the way, a very big Bristol brewery. But they're also known for their really long names of what they do.
Floating around is what we're
Floating around.
It's a hazy IPA.
It's a hazy IPA. You've definitely drunk a lot more of it than I have, purely for the fact that I'm a little bit worried about how easy this is to drink.
I agree.
It's 6.5%, and I'm not happy about the fact that it just tastes like a session IPA. There should be like 4%. And it's Tuesday night, and I'm trying ladies and gentlemen, and everyone else in between. I'm doing my absolute best not to just be a borderline alcoholic constantly, which I am.
Hey, you're not though. It's a Tuesday. We're having fun.
That. It's a Tuesday.
It's only early evening.
It's only early evening. But yeah, no, honestly, it's really nice. Like Left-Handed Giant are a very well-known brewery in Bristol. They've got multiple different pubs. They've got some really interesting ways that they run those. I've got a few friends who work for Left-Handed Giant. They have a really good time. But yeah, like this is it's honestly I'm going to be honest. It's nice, but it's a bit dangerous because it really tastes like a really like nice fruity session beer, but it is actually like 6.5%, and it's like you can't taste the fact that it's that strong, and
it's quite hazy in colour. It's quite fruity tasting.
Yeah.
Leaves it doesn't even have taste actually.
Oh, well, and thank you, and good on John. John puts on here at the Gryphon a variety of real ales and IPAs. He always has rolling ale taps and stuff, and he puts on like so many different beers from different breweries all over the country and all over the world.
I forgot to ask what he's on. That was one of my questions last episode.
Yeah. We'll see what John's.
So 3,500.
We have to be careful of John the landlord here, listeners, because it's also more that you have to be careful with him because John's penchant is like really dark, really strong stouts.
Yeah, his
go-to thing is I'll give you lead you into darkness, you end up drinking a lot of stuff that's like 8% proof, some unbeknownst fucking reason to anyone else, and
it's tasty.
I mean, it is tasty, but and then like you have 3 or 4 pints of it and you're really drunk, and then the next day you wake up and you feel like you've eaten like 10 loaves of bread. So,
Whereas now,
for those of us who have IBS like me, like,
it might hurt you a little bit more.
We're just trying.
When you hold out the bottle, oh my god!
Well, what do you think about floating around then? So I've given my
I really like it. It's unfortunately strong.
I mean, I've seen that you really liked it. I can see.
I've had like 7 pints of it already.
Jesus Christ, 7 pints.
I mean, a shit day, so
Fair enough. Hey, look, no judgment from me. But yeah.
As long as we're not here till 1:30 again, right? That's a rule.
Yeah, that's the rule. Yeah, we can't.
12 is fine.
We can't stay here until 1:30 every single time we record a podcast in the Gryphon. As much as it's very tempting.
I mean, it's going to happen though. And when people start joining us, even
I've got a glass arm. You know what's going to happen.
Like, glass eye.
I've got.
Glass arm. What did you say?
Glass arm. You know that saying?
I've never heard that.
It's somebody who's easy to talk into something. They got a glass. You can hear their glass arm breaking behind their back. Yeah. Oh, it's just,
that's solid.
I think we've got an English saying versus an Irish thing here. Like I know the term glass arm. Yeah. Basically, it means.
Listen, she know that glass arm.
Yeah. It basically.
Danny, do you know that? Yeah, she knows that.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm the weird one here.
No. It's not. Well, yeah. Basically, what it means is somebody who's very easy to cajole or convince into doing something that
because that's solid.
They do want to do, but like, but the idea is, when you twist someone's arm up behind their back.
Yeah.
So they've got a glass arm, it's going to shatter very quickly. But
you have to get it behind their back, right?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I know where you're going. I know.
I don't know what to tell you. I don't know the ins and outs or whether you have to know Brazilian jiu-jitsu to say the same. Like, I'm just saying, like, it is what it is. Anyway,
I mean, it's a lovely beer.
It's a very nice beer.
We will have loads of pints tonight. And I think there's loads of pints on.
And here's the thing.
For hopefully a few more days.
Here's the thing, listeners. Like, this podcast is very much, like I said, we record upstairs in the Gryphon, the pub.
Best pub in Bristol.
And it's like, you can come here and you can, there's such a variety of drinks on. Like, John has really built, over the last 13 to 15 years, like, what this is. We're upstairs in the local gig band venue is so awesome.
It is.
But yeah, and you can just come here and just like genuinely have like a really, really good time. I mean, we've all had, me, Danny, Tom, we've all had like mad stuff here. There's so many stories, And
even pints where you just come in just by yourself.
Oh yeah, and it's one of those places like you can come in and next thing you know the bar staff are chatting to you. Next thing you know somebody at the bar started a conversation with you. Like if you're a loose end and you fancy a drink in Bristol, like you couldn't pick a better pub to kind of come and have a bit of banter and have a bit of chat and stuff and like
totally agree
and drink some really nice beers, to be really honest. I mean,
everyone come to the Gryphon and join us for the next podcast.
Exactly.
I just dropped my notes. I hope you can hear that. Can you hear that?
That's it.
You can hear that.
I mean, you're actively trying to rustle it into the microphone now.
Okay, that was intentional.
Oh, no. But I mean, every 2 weeks we're going to be here. Every 2 weeks we're going to be here. We're going to be talking about, all of what you just heard, news, local bands, local gigs, bigger gigs that are coming to Bristol, reviews of gigs, reviews of smaller gigs. We're also going to be bringing you interviews from local bands from Bristol and from around Bristol as well, and potentially like some bigger bands as well. Especially thank you to Dave from Black City Records. He's got a lot of connects. He does a lot of things. And thank you to John for hosting us and letting us drink all of this really strong beer that's definitely not going to come back and bite me in the arse tomorrow.
It won't just yet. We've a few more podcasts yet, right?
Yeah, just about. Before my liver gives out anyway, so.
So, I think that's the end of the Fuel from a Fire Bristol Metal Quarter podcast for episode 1.
Episode 1.
I'm Tom. Theo's here beside me. We've got our awesome sound person, Danny. We hope to see you in the next episode. Please follow all our stuff. Please listen to us. Please come to Gryphon. Please go to Black City. Check out Bristol Metal Quarter. We're going to see you in the pits.
See you in the pit.
See you in the pits.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me that which I desire.